So what are we doing today?
Today we are installing today and tomorrow we're installing an APR splitter on my Mustang. It's made for the GT500, but I've got the Cervini's GT500 replica splitter, so we're gonna make it work. Can't be that hard. Now that I said that, it's gonna be that hard. But
we're gonna see what we can do.
Yep.
We've seen on Instagram other people do it, so
yeah.
It'll look good though.
It will.
Shall
I'm excited. Yes, we shall. So we noticed that there weren't any videos on YouTube on how to install, or the internet at all actually, on how to install one of these, except for a 2015. But I don't have a 2015, I don't have an S550, so we figured we'd make a video for anyone else like me who wants to install one and maybe doesn't know how to do it. You gotta start by taking off the bumper, and I usually have these little plastic pry tools to help get these out. Start taking off the bumper, you have to start with the radiator cover. I usually have these little plastic pry tools to get these out, but I left them at home, and I'm not at my home. So I'm using just a flathead screwdriver and just prying underneath them to pop them out. And then, that was easy. Then you've got to take off the bumper. There are 4 bolts up top here, 3 inside each wheel well, and I believe 12 under the front. I don't have all 12 under the front because I don't have any under the middle of my splitter. But take all those out. These aren't in there very tight, so I don't need a wrench, but if you've never taken your bumper off before, they might be a little tight, and you might need to, if you have as little room as I have, you might need to take off a wheel, but I don't think I ever had to. Actually no, the easiest way to do it is just crank your wheel, like turn it all the way left, get in here, and then turn it all the way the other way and get the other side. So I got those out, and we gotta do the other side. Now we gotta do the ones under here. Again, if your car is stock ride height, or even not lowered as much, it's significantly easier. Okay, so once we got those bolts out, it's time to take off the bumper. My bumper's a little more complicated than like his to take off, because I've got these, which I need to get the 3M tape off of, and that's always a pain. And I've got my fog lights that I need to, they're connected down here to some wires and up here, so I'm gonna need to cut those off. So this part's often a little easier if you have 2 people, just so you avoid rubbing your bumper on the ground, because that's no fun. No one ever wants to do that. Start in your wheel wells. You're gonna feel like you're gonna break something, but I promise you're not. It's just plastic clips. You grab it and you pop it out, and you'll hear it pop. Make sure that whole thing's loose. It's gonna come loose from the inside of your wheel well. Got it? All right. You've got plugs for your fog lights and your side markers. Make sure you unplug those. I'm really bad at plugs, so Graham might need to come over here and help me.
Might.
Probably will. Oh, I got one. I'm just like honestly terrible with plugs. There we go. And now my car has no face. The hardest part, honestly, about taking off the bumper is that the middle, right in here, gets caught on that piece, and you have to just kind of wiggle it and get it out, and either it's going to pull off of that, or it's going to like halfway pull off and stay on that. But that's all, honestly, the hardest part.
We'll go ahead and do that.
We'll be right back. We're going to put this in the living room. As you know, the APR splitter has adjusters on it, and I believe the way that most people do it is they just drill into their bumper, but I want actual downforce, and I want to be able to stand on it, because that's kind of like the rule. If you can stand on it, then it's good. So I don't want to drill into my bumper. I got, from the Laguna Seca, I got the, what is it called? Like the splitter mounting bracket or something like that. And this goes on your bumper here, and the adjusters go into it. So we're gonna go ahead and install this. It's all dusty. It's been sitting in the closet for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm good.
It's like your catchphrase.
Well, when I get it on the first try, yeah. So you start by removing these two upper bumper bolts. They're these top holes here on your bumper. 14. And they're in there. No, they're not that good. They're not that bad. Just put that over there. All right. So now this is gonna go in back behind your bumper, and the bottom of it slides over the bolts that are going through this bottom hole.
So ideally.
Ideally. Yes, they do. So it goes like that. You probably can't see, but it's the bottom of it now is under here, and so that's where my adjusters are gonna go into, is right there. Alright, so it is Monday night because FedEx sucks and didn't show up on Saturday. They didn't show up till today. But it finally arrived. It's sitting under my bumper. And Graham actually went and laid down some painter's tape, because when you're drilling through carbon fiber, apparently you should always drill with painter's tape to try and keep the lacquer from cracking. And he marked through the holes in my splitter, he marked where we have to drill. He laid it down, lined it up, marked where we have to drill. So now we start drilling. Yay! That was easy.
Yep. Perfect.
I think perfect.
Huh?
I said I think perfect. Dare I say it?
What was that?
Nothing.
It'll be good enough.
All right. All right, well, now it's Tuesday, and we're finally getting, Wednesday, I don't even know what day it is, we're finally getting it on my car. Life has gotten in the way, I know. So, funny story, I didn't think it through when I put this thing on the first time. The adjusters obviously don't fit. There are like little bolt or nuts welded into the bracket, but they're too big for the APR adjusters. So we just went in and cut off the top of them with a Dremel, because they were like little nuts sticking out, so we just made it flat so that these could go on. And we got them on, and now I'm just making sure that's getting this back on here. Now it is. Well, he's finishing that up, because I'm too lazy to do all the work myself, and that's a lie, but
Hey,
I'm
this
gonna...
is Annika.
Oh, shut up.
On your channel.
No. I'm gonna go ahead and take off the skid plate. It might be easier if you jack your car up, but like I just said about being lazy, I'm not gonna jack it up. I'm just gonna do it with it on the ground. All right, so Graham's finishing up taking off the skid plate right now. If you haven't done it before, there are, I believe, 5 of these little bolts, maybe 6, I think 5. You've got 1 in front of each wheel. You've got 2, you got 1 a bit further in on either side of your oil service panel, and then you've got 1 kind of in the middle of your service panel. Once you get all 5 of those out, the skid plate comes off. Pretty easy. They're all 7mm bolts if you're interested. So this is everything we did inside. We got it all assembled onto the bumper. This wind's gonna blow it over. Don't want that to happen. We're gonna get the skid plate mounted onto here, and then we're gonna get it on the car. I did add a red stripe. I mentioned that because I have a ton of people ask me on Instagram how I do the stripes on my car. So in case anyone is wondering, it's not paint, it's not plasti dip, it's not like that 3D, whatever you call it. I don't know, what do you call that stuff? Like edging, molding stuff. It's not that. It's literally just vinyl striping tape. I have 1/4 inch on my wheels and on my splitter and an 1/8 inch on the body. And you just like lay it down, just use little sections at a time and lay it down, and it's super easy and stays really well. So if you were wondering, there you go, because so many people asked me about it, figured might as well say something about it. So the reason this is made for a GT500 and not my car is because this is significantly shorter. The GT500s have some like subframe bracing down there that it mounts to, and I am going to get like a subframe brace to mount that to eventually, but for the time being I don't have one and I just want to get it on my car. So I'm going to go ahead and mount the skid plate where it was before on these on top of these bolts here. I'm just going to take off the nuts, mount it, and go from there. Alright, so I'm working on getting these bolts out so that I can get this skid plate on top. And we also cut the little wind deflector off of that skid plate because that's going to get in the way of this new splitter here if we leave it on. So we just took a Dremel to that and cut that off. I'm also sticking washers on these bolts. I forgot to when I first put them in. So I'm just sticking little washers. I don't think I mentioned this before. APR did supply some pretty heavy duty hardware, but it was all too large for up front here, and just because I have nowhere to mount it in the back, I'm not using it right now. But when it, like I said, I'm getting my subframe brace eventually. When I mount that on, I will definitely be using the hardware they gave me. I just went to Home Depot, got a bunch of stainless steel bolts. I think these are 1.5 inches. They're 1/4 inch thick, and then I think they're 1.5 inches long. I just got some bolts, some locking nuts, and some washers. I just got 100 of each. It was like $15, but I'm gonna be set for the rest of my life. More dremeling.
Did not die.
Huh?
Is it not dead?
No, not yet. We're going up to do more dremeling because the front of the skid plate's just the tiniest bit too long, so we're gonna take off like 1/4 inch from the front.
Did you lose it?
Not a lot of room to work down here. So it's Saturday now. We didn't finish the video Wednesday night because it got cold and dark, and then we started getting mad because it was cold. And when we put back on the bumper, I thought the camera was running and I was totally talking to the camera, but apparently the camera either had the memory was full or it died or something like that, so I was just talking to myself the whole time. So that was fun. But Saturday, had some free time and it's not raining, so we figured I'd go ahead and finish up the video. So for putting back on the bumper, you pretty much just reverse what you did to take it off. Just make sure you start in the middle and go to the sides. Get the middle hung up and then go to one side and you gotta kind of like punch the corners to get them in. It's really easy though. You can do the wheel well bolts, do the bolts under everything, and then the bolts on top, and then get your radiator cover back on, you're done. But, oh, and then the adjusters, those are also really easy. Just stick them in the holes, put the nut on the bottom, and then you just turn that centerpiece to make them longer or shorter. Get it at the angle you want it at. I have it angled up a little bit right now for daily driving, so I don't scrape on everything. If I had it flat, I would probably be scraping on all the speed bumps, because the bolts on the back scrape on most of the speed bumps. But yeah, we finished and it looks awesome and it feels awesome, although I haven't really had a chance to try it out yet. I just got to go on the highway, but I love it.
So there you have it, guys. Hope you all enjoyed watching this video, and I hope that it potentially helped some of you out that are trying to do this yourselves. But as always, please leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.